only a couple, three examples of artwork. And one of the things I thought you'd be interested in is as much my process, obviously, because I always tell people I can teach you how I paint in about 15 minutes, but to actually put it to work is a little bit more challenging, and that's kind of what happens with that. But some of the things that you might like to know is I'm a very direct painter. I don't layer or blend or do a lot of things that I know are traditional pastel methods. And I realized that I have several pretty strong influences, not the least of which was the man who became my mentor, and that was William Herring. And people either love him or hate him, but he was very, very good for me. I hosted art workshops for 5 years in Cloudcroft, and then I did another 5 years just strictly with Herring because we did master classes, and that turned out to be a really good situation for a lot of artists. A lot of people have had their lives changed completely because of that association. But I loved hosting art workshops. It was fabulous and wonderful, and the artists are just so genuinely wonderful. And there are a lot of people in this room I would have loved to have hosted. And I'm so excited to get to meet you face to face because I haven't had opportunities to come to your meetings in the last several years. I don't think I've been to a meeting in probably 10 or 15 years because it's just not on the way anywhere near me. I live 220 miles south of here, and it's a 4-hour drive. So it's a great drive, but it's a long haul. Anyway, so I always tell people that it's really easy to learn this process, but what I brought is actually a pastel painting, which is on my left, your right, and then an oil painting that's also done in a process that I use that's very similar. And in fact, this painting isn't a new painting. It's one that it was probably one of the first paintings I ever did in that process of oil painting with oil paint sticks. And I thought you'd be interested in seeing that transition because I find it very helpful because certain groups of art gallery people, especially, are kind of prejudiced against paintings that have to be under glass. And I find that glass tends to kill the color on my pastels, which I have yet to compensate for that particularly. It does. But because they look so brilliant when you first do them, and then you put glass on them, and that sort of separates you out. But I just thought that was really cool. Let me grab the things. I thought we were going to have a lapel mic.
Sorry.
You guys need a lapel mic. Excuse me a
Just that
second.
it makes a lot of other noises.
Oh, okay. Well, all my junk is over here, so I'm going to grab it really fast. In case you wonder, the reason I brought a stool is because I have a back issue and it's getting worse by the minute. I have to have surgery pretty soon. So I have to sit. Anyway, these are oil paint sticks. Can you see them? Mm-hmm. They look just like large pastels, and they're not oil pastels. Please make the difference. This is not oil pastel, this is oil paint in a stick. And it's held together with linseed oil and some kind of wax, generally. And there are multiple brands. I just think they're so cool. But what I brought was the four paint sticks that I did that painting with, the sunset. Because this is all I had when I started. I work on a board. I'm going to pass around a couple. Can somebody just grab this? Sure. I just have one that's small. And you can, I know a lot of you use a grit and put it on something. How many of you paint on a gridded board or a sanded board? So you know what I'm talking about. I skip a step for underpainting by painting the board a solid color. And I've played with painting it multiple colors, but it just didn't hack it for me yet. But I'm not saying it won't. Eventually, I'm terribly interested in color. Color and line and texture are the three things that motivate me in terms of painting. And those things have to be in my paintings. I'm really good at painting smooth oil paintings, but I find that if I can't get the line and the texture in there, that even though other people think they're wonderful, they really annoy me because they're not what I want. They're not who I am. And I love what other people do. I love the texture, the really illusory effects and the soft effects and the light effects. And Mike Mann is an artist that I've met once before in Cloudcroft because I live down near Cloudcroft. I live about 10 miles from Cloudcroft. And the art workshops down there are fabulous. They host some really, really wonderful national artists. So if any of you want to spend a week in a cool place, it's a great place to come in the summer. And I used to host my art workshops there before I took up painting full time, and I found that I couldn't do the art workshops and paint. It just was too much. So that's why I took up not doing that anymore. But we did go to Europe a couple of times with our artists and had a really an amazing time. Particularly we went to both Russia and went to St. Petersburg and the surrounding area. Then we went to Vienna and Prague, another trip, and studied Mucha and Klimt. And it was an amazing process and experience that I just couldn't give enough money for now. But, you know, we just can't keep going. And we have the same issues y'all have, and that is it's very difficult to actually make money and do those things without. And by the way, I'm going to put in a plug for your organization, which, as you notice, I am a member of this, and I hope she actually got my dues this year, because I did mail them. Yeah, I did mail them. On December 1st, I was like waiting till until it was available, because I didn't want to forget. It's easy to overlook. But anyway, I think that the Pastel Society of New Mexico is one of the finest organizations in the country. It certainly has among the best reputations in my observation nationally, because of the quality and the numbers of judges and jurors that you have. There's almost nobody that employs 3 judges and a juror, and that's huge. I'm sorry, vice versa. You're right. 3 jurors and a judge, but you get my drift. It's an amazing thing. So be proud of yourselves, but also, yeah, you probably need a better venue if that's biting your income, because it is tough to get into that outfit down there at the fairgrounds. I don't know what the deal is there, but anyway, and I try to go every year, and I haven't competed in a lot of years because of some other things going on. And this year I really wanted to be in the Masterworks, and I just couldn't get it together because I had to go to the doctor 3 or 4 times, and it was not in my stars. So next year. So anyway, so back to what I do. If you look at that board, it's made with grit, and if you don't have that formula, you need that formula if you want to play with this, and it's really easy to get. You have woodworker supply here, so you can buy pumice. It's just equal parts of pumice and paint or gesso, and then some water. You thin it as much as you want. If you're going to put it on a board, it's about 50 equal parts of water and pumice and gesso, equal. If you're going to put it on paper, you thin it more. And Alan Flatman has a similar formula in his book, and so you can get this formula, but it's on my website. I did put it on there yesterday. In fact, yeah, so that it would be actually on there. It used to be on my blog, and then I changed venues, so it's not on my blog anymore. But it's a really simple process, and you can use any color of whatever you want. Lots of artists use a similar formula, and the original formula was Herman Margulies, or Margulies, I don't know how you say it. Yeah, and he was a fabulous pastelist, and I got it from that source. So, but he actually patented his board, but not his formula. He put it in Artist Magazine. So, there it is. Anyway, I love having that grit because it grabs my pastel. Normally when you paint on a paper, or even on something similar to Wallace paper, I'm not as familiar with other papers now because I don't use them. I use this gritty surface, and I'm lazy. I just do it because that's. But this skips a step for me because I am not a light and dark painter. I am a warm and cool painter, which has some debatable merits and drawbacks, and also it's probably not as exclusive as some would say. But in any event, I gain my contrast most especially from the contrast of warm and cool colors. And I don't really see, I know this is antithetical to good everything, but I don't really see all those shadows and think about all of those things. I'm a flat painter. But I get depth in the process. And what this does is it adds dark to my board immediately. It also unifies the painting immediately because there's a mother color under there. So if you let it show through, if you don't cover every square inch, then you've got a unifying factor. And I love it. I am really a crazy person. I love red and purple together. I love red, purple, and orange together, and I love what it does on this board, and it just makes my blood get going. It's pretty exciting. The minute I put that stroke on there, and in fact I already cheated and showed you, but so that's what I do. Yes?
Do you use the same grits for your oil painting?
I actually do. And in fact, this painting is on a board that I prepped for pastel, and I had bought these 4 oil sticks, having read an article in International Artist Magazine about an artist whose work I was really fond of and interested in, and she's a French-Canadian artist, and I can't think of her last name ever, because her first name is Madeline, and for some reason her last name escapes me. But I loved her approach, and she's very linear drawing design in her oil paintings, but then they were very free and exciting and wonderful, and I liked them a lot. Yes, sir?
Your pumice, do you use double F?
Actually, I couldn't, I do. I use 2F and 4F. And I usually combine them because I find that I like it better if it's a combination of the two. I like the really gritty finish. I actually played with some other paint recently and had a disastrous experience with it, so I don't want to spend a lot of time telling you about it, but I did find Utrecht acrylic paint that they sell for student grade paint now. They used to call it gesso color. And if I could find Liquitex colored gesso, I'd buy it easily. But I buy everything mail order almost always. Or if I can make it to Artisan, I will buy it at Artisan. And Artisan does sell Utrecht now, and they also, the last bunch I got was Modern Master. This one is Carbazole Violet, and I have to add a little bit of white to it in order to make it a little bit less dark, because otherwise I can't see my line. I draw with a fine charcoal, And so I have to be able to see what I'm doing. It's not going to be as easy for you to see it up here, and so I'm going to actually switch off on you. Anyway, let me think about it. Okay, so some of the other things that you might be interested in is that I use almost all soft pastels, what you would call really soft pastels. I like Unison, I like Schminky, and yeah, Terry Ludwig, I think they're fabulous. Some of the others, Mountain, yeah, what I can't quote them all, but you get my drift. I like them to be soft, and I like them to be really, really excellent. And I tell you, the last batch of Unisons I got are like rocks. They're almost as bad as the Senneliers, because I love Senneliers. But I got a set of half sticks a couple years ago, and I have to really, really work to not make a hole, because they will be really sharp on the edge, and I have to break it down. And I don't think that's acceptable, personally. I don't know why they started messing with their formula and screwing it up, but they did. Nicholas, will you take this and pass it around over there, because that board's slow. Yes.
This says it's clay.
Okay, that one's a clay board. Normally I work on a board. Can you see this? It's white on this side. And this is called shower board. And it's smooth on the back. It's smooth masonite on the back. This side is quick. This side is brown, just like that would be. But that one that Steve has in his hand right now is textured on the back, because you can use the masonite that has that funny furry texture on one side and then it's smooth on the other side. And I just put it on there. I don't sand it or any of that stuff. My husband cuts my boards for me, and I tell him what size I want. And I actually put this same formula on canvas, on stretch canvas or canvas boards, and it works really well to paint in pastel on canvas boards. But in I like the stretch canvases, and I have big paintings that are in this oil stick approach that are on like 40 by 60 or 48 by 60, and I prepped my own surface. Bad idea, but because I hate stretching canvas, so I buy it now in stretched form. But I just coat it with that, and then I can work on it. And I wish I could do that with pastel, because I really like it, but pastel would bounce off. I think it would flake off, so I don't. Anyway, let's see, where was I? I don't remember. I've already lost my notes. I had a note.
There's a piece of paper on the floor there.
Oh, yeah, no, that's my mask. Okay. I'm wearing my gloves today. I never paint without my gloves, and part of that's because I used to be a school teacher and I'm terribly allergic to chalk. And I figure it's not smart to get it on my hands, so I always wear gloves. And besides that, it's easier to be clean. The other magic thing that you may or may not have discovered is baby wipes. Cheap Walmart baby wipes with no alcohol, because these puppies will take pastel off your hands faster than anything. And then you can wash your hands, and then you don't have icky, grimy, horrible hands, because I always get it on me no matter what. I always have it on my face, and you can tell I'm so neat and tidy. See how clean my apron is? This is a very well-used apron. The only disadvantage is it's about 4 inches too short. And now that I sit, I have dirty legs half the time. But anyway, let's see. So I always wear a mask when I'm at home. I try to anyway. I kind of wander off and don't do it sometimes. But the reason I do that is because I figure if I can see color in my stuff when I blow my nose, that's probably not good for me. And I saw Carol Catchin do a demo once, and she was talking about that, and the dust was flying, and she said, if you dig in your garden, you breathe worse stuff than this, but I don't know that that's true, and I just soon not find out. So I don't, I do wear a mask a lot of the time, because I do use a lot of grit, or pastel, so it comes out really, it tends to make dust. So I'm just going to talk to you about how I set up. First of all, when I do this, I always I mark my canvas. Can you see those little marks on there? The reason they're there is because I'm terribly symmetrical, and if I don't mark the center points on my canvas and make sure that I don't hit them when I draw, I will hit them. I guarantee I will divide the space into perfect areas, and I'm constantly measuring my areas. It's one of those little left brain things that kind of puffs through it on the right brain thing, but it's kind of like driving a car. After a while you just do it. But I have to check that, because if I don't, I will hit those marks, and those are called idiot lines in some people's, because you're an idiot if you hit those lines and you don't want to equalize your space, so that's a good way for me to avoid it. And so I had somebody argue with me and say, oh no, you don't have to, and I said, oh yeah, I do. I guarantee if I don't measure it, and I use the ruler to measure it, if I don't measure it, I will not be correct, and I will hit it anyway. So I just know I'm symmetrical, and so that's what I have to do. It's up to you, but that's how I do it. And then I usually make several decisions before I start. Number one is whether it's going to be a horizontal or vertical composition. I nearly always choose vertical. I am strangely afflicted with some kind of a problem with the horizontal structure. I seem to think vertically, and I've challenged myself. I will periodically do a horizontal painting, but I really have to work to not do that. And you have to choose what you're doing. I often work square, especially when I paint in oil. Most of my horse paintings are square. Most of my animal paintings are square, and because I'm very interested in their faces, and I don't care a thing in the world about the rest of them. It's because that's what enchants me. And when you are an artist, you have to find out what enchants you, and you should go there. If somebody else is doing something different, yay, because we would all be little cookie cutters if we all did the same thing. I so admire Lee's work, and I know Marilyn's work. I know quite a few of your. I'm not going to name everybody, but I love your work, and I know it's you, and I don't want anybody to paint like me. I want you to know what I do. And so I'm going to show you some of that. So the first decision is horizontal or vertical. The second decision is whether it's going to be light or dark or warm and cool. I almost always choose warm and cool, but I probably don't adhere to all the rules there. And if you know what you're doing, you can decide if you are or are not going to follow the rules. But if you don't know the rules, then you have a hard time not making a mistake that will kill your painting. So another decision I have to choose is if it's going to be a quiet painting, which is horizontal or parallel structure, which means that everything is basically, like a landscape, landscapes that make you feel peaceful, and they're all pretty much one direction. There's no strong, exciting things. Because diagonal things in your painting add excitement, don't they? They add movement, and I'm crazy, so I almost always choose diagonal. I think I probably have almost never chosen a parallel painting, and it's not because I don't think other people do great stuff. It's just not who I am. I like the feeling of that excitement and motion, and you can have a quiet subject. It doesn't mean it has to be crazy looking, but you will still have dynamic line. That's what I'm talking about by the diagonals. Strong diagonals are dynamic lines, and strong parallels are quiet. They're peaceful lines, okay? So that's another decision. I decide if I'm going, what the underlying abstract design is going to be, usually right away. And in a landscape, I frequently, almost always, in fact, in this particular one, choose a design that comes out looking like an L and an O. And I think that one right there. That one's got it, okay. If you can look at this one right here, you can see, and this is actually got, see that area that's the sky? Okay, that's sort of like a squarish, O-ish shape. We've got to think really abstract when we think about this. Okay, so that's an O, and then the rest of it is an L. Do you see that? And in this instance, since I'm doing the warm and cool contrast, green is my neutral in that paradigm. And so wherever it's next to a warm color, it becomes warm, and wherever it's next to a cool color, it becomes cool. So this painting is mostly warm, even though it has a lot of green, which a lot of people feel like it's a cool color. It's still warm feeling. Does that make sense? And so that's what I'm talking about. And I know it's crazy because I have watched nuclear explosions in master classes concerning this topic, so don't worry if it doesn't make sense. I'm trying to think what else. I wrote this all down and then totally spaced what I did with my notes. But anyway, it'll come out. So, you pick whether or not you're going to tell a story, or whether you're just going to paint it for beauty's sake. And that doesn't mean it isn't beautiful. If you have something to say, yay, because I never have anything to say except when I do. Once in a while, I just think I'm going to do, because I noticed that I have a pig as my first picture on my website right now, as the homepage. I just thought it was hilarious. And I've been doing colored pigs lately, so my pigs are never normal color. And I think it would be very boring if I painted them the way that they actually look, but they look real. They just have really weird color. I heighten my color. You can see that even though that one is real, those are really cannas. That's really supposed to be a garden. But it's high saturation, so it's just a different approach. And I always feel like there's no right or wrong to what you do in art. If it pleases you, then you should be doing it. And if you want to please other people, then sometimes you do. I frequently hear people tell me how much they love my color. And I just have to tell you, I love color so much, and pastel is like the best ever for color because it's just so immediate and so satisfying. And you don't have to mix it or wash your brush or do 100 other things that I hate doing. And I tell people I'm the world's laziest artist, and I told you that already, I think, but I'm really lazy about it, so I want to do as little as possible to get as much as possible. And that doesn't mean that I didn't train to get there. I just don't want to spend a lot of time doing unnecessary things for myself. And so that's what I'll do. I had a couple of books that I just thought you'd be interested in looking at maybe afterwards. This one is Deborah Stewart's, and I know that you know who she is because she's real fresh in the pastel world, and I think her abstract art painting is amazing. I'm very interested in some of what she's doing, and so I just grabbed onto that not too long ago. But there are a lot of things in her book that really resonate for me and really echo my training. The other one that most of you might not know is Frances Traynor. It's Treanor. She's from the UK, and she has very, very textural approach, and it heavily influenced me in addition to what I saw and learned from Bill Herring. But I didn't actually, no one ever actually trained me to paint the way I paint. I actually learned it from watching somebody else paint and saying, well, duh, that looks really easy, and I could do that. And I did. And it was so amazingly, for me, the accessible thing. I was trying to paint in watercolor at the time, and it was much, much more accessible for me because it's so tactile, it's so linear, and I came out of doing crewel embroidery and counted thread cross stitch. So you can see that influence in my painting style because it looks a lot like crewel yarn laid down. And some people will say, oh, it's like Van Gogh, and I'm going, I'm pretty sure Van Gogh didn't use this color because he used a lot of really brilliant and different approaches, and he was very expressionist, but he didn't use the heightened colors that even I use, except when he started doing the portraits with the green little spots, and those are so cool. And I watched Kitty Wallace paint like that one day, and I was like, man, that's really cool. But I still haven't got it the way I want it. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start a painting for you. I did put this board up, and I'm going to draw for a little while, but then I'm going to do a bait and switch, because I actually have the drawing set out for you, okay? Sorry. The other thing that I forgot to tell you about is how I organize my pastels, which is basically I have boxes and they have colors in them, and I'm terrible. I'm really horrible about getting them in. Oh, that's a really cool deal. Got my ear. But I have one of those little thumb boxes, the 6x8 thumb box, and I got the pastel thingy to go in it, and they're all neat and tidy in here. They'll be that way for about 3 seconds because I will not be able to maintain it. But what I like to do is I will start with my pastels around me unless I'm going on location, in which case I do have that. And I try to select colors that I'm pretty sure I'm going to want. But I use a lot of different greens, obviously. That one is brand new. I did that one in preparation for this demo because I hadn't painted a pastel in a couple of months, and I thought, I better get back to this because I got to tell people how to do this, and I don't know if I can tell people how to do this. But I'm going to simplify that subject a lot because that one is a little bit more complicated because of the actual drawing. You can pass this one around too. This is an example of what I paint. You want me to hold it up first? Let me show you. Okay, if you'll, how does that go? Okay, yeah, it's got glass on it, so it's going to do that. This is an example of what I do in floral painting a lot of times, and I do paint, I love poppies, I love iris. That painting is done on a board just exactly like this one, and it is covered with a piece of glass and then taped with the acid-free tape around the edges. I just put it on there because I knew it was going to get messed up if I tried to carry it around, and I thought and the other thing that happens is this board is so gritty and it grabs the pastel so well that it doesn't flake off easily. And when I frame my paintings, I frame them like oils normally, except I used to use the spacer, and my husband just cuts that on a mat cutter, He cuts pieces of mat board and then glues them to the edge of the frame, and then we lay the painting on that. Actually, you put the glass in first, then glue the mat board to the glass, and then lay the painting in. But the trick is to spank your painting before you do that. And the way you do that is you stand it up on edge, just about like it's going to be here. This one isn't tilted yet because I can't draw easily with it tilted toward me. But you just smack it a whole bunch of times on the back until nothing else falls off. And then you can put it, I've shipped paintings all over the country like that. And I even had one come back out of the frame once because they had mangled the box so bad, and it was an art float box, so it should have withstood, and it was not, it ruined the frame, but the painting was fine, so I was amazed. Pardon me for the noisy thing, but what did I do with that box now? Oh, there it is. I'm so organized. Okay, this is vine charcoal, and that's what I normally would use. And I don't know if you can see it. If you can see, yeah, can you see the lines on there?
Yes.
Okay, well then I'm just gonna switch because I don't want to take up more time. Normally I would show you how I draw, but time is running out, isn't it? This board that I have here, that's holding this painting, and I've got those kind of metal screw things, or push pins. Never use plastic, they will kill you. The metal push pins. This is home soap board. It's a building material that I used to have to buy from Texas. I don't know if they still have it. And then if you cover it with a piece of black fabric, then it will help you not be distracted by things. But you can work on it. It's just prettier with the black fabric on it. It's icky looking because it's dirty, because I actually use it for lots of stuff besides the pastel. But I will just either hammer a nail in there or use a push pin, and I'm just holding the edge of this thing so that it's not going anywhere. And I elected to use the clips up here because I hate it when I can't paint my corners. And so I have to be able to move it. Okay, so ta-da! This is not good. Let's see if this will work. So what I have here is again, basically it's two L's instead of an LO. And the way I'm going to show you that, do you see this line right here? Mm-hmm. Okay, and then this line right here, it's a very abstract L. Okay, and that's what I'm talking about. And it's just letters that are abstract, but what they do is they resolve the parallel diagonal conflicts. They keep you from having only one diagonal, because there's a diagonal this way and another diagonal this way. And I've actually got these thingies going up here. They're breaking it up anyhow, so it didn't matter. But every good painting has a good abstract design under it. And I'm lazy, and I'm also not naturally good at composition, so I had to train to learn how to compose so that it would work the best. And all those books that they had out there on composition for years and years talked about the steelyard structure and the cross structure and the snake structure or serpent. My brain did not handle that well. And I always thought I was too stupid. But I'm pretty sure I'm not stupid. I have a master's degree, so I'm thinking maybe it's just a case of communication. And what I found from the person that I've mentored with the most, and his mentor is the one that observed this, is that all of the master paintings that you can study, which is great because we have the internet. It have these fabulous abstract designs under them, and if you start looking for it, there are a lot of similarities, and you'll identify some things that appear again and again. And she identified, I think it's 7 different abstract designs that are very common to those, and those are kind of the letter, but they look like letters of the alphabet, but only if you really stretch your imagination. Otherwise, it doesn't look like anything, it just looks like a design, okay? And I had a student once that just had meltdowns all the time until I finally said, Carmen, it's an abstract design, it has nothing to do with the alphabet. And she went, oh. And then she was good with that. So now I tell people it's an abstract design. It sort of resembles, because like in, when you do a portrait, a lot of times you're going to have what we see as an upside down T, because you have the middle and then you have stuff on the bottom and it makes sort of a T. Does that make sense? So that's what I'm talking about. Anyway, but this is what I love. I do this kind of, for this garden scene, I don't do a huge amount of drawing, and that's a little antithetical to my training. But what I'm doing is I'm making shapes that I can recognize as being areas that I'm going to fill with flowers, because this is going to be a flower garden, and flowers are my first love. My favorite garden of all time is Bouchard Garden, and I don't think it's going to show, but it might. And this is one example of Bouchard Garden. It's the most amazing garden. It's built into a quarry. It was a reclaimed quarry. And so the flowers are all up and down the walls of this thing, as well as in the space that was the quarry. But in any event, do you see how there's mounds of flowers here? Okay, and if you think of rounded shapes, okay, bushes, trees, anything that's sort of organic, basically has 3 values, right? 3 things. If you're a value painter, you think light, medium, and dark, right? And you can go to 10, but I'm not going to 10 because me and my pastels don't have to. But in any event, I discovered from somebody that if you fill the space with 3 colors, it doesn't matter what colors you pick, although it does matter to me because some of them irritate me, but whatever pleases you, then it will look like it has volume. It will look rounded. It will look like that. And that's the principle behind what I'm going to do in these spaces here that surround this subject, which is going to be red pokey flowers. Don't ask me what kind they are because I have no clue. They are red and they are wonderful and they are really fun to paint in pastel because they're very tactile and very movement oriented. So I'm going to put this down and I'm hoping you'll be able to figure it out. And I usually paint to really hard rock music, so yeah, you guys would hate me. Do you know Slumdog Millionaire? That's one of my favorites. But I love all kinds of music, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm just picking out a few colors. I've got reds because I know I'm going to have reds in my flowers, and I will have to move those. I'm not going to use the mask because I can't breathe and talk and stuff. And I've got some yellows that I want to use, and I'm going to pick out some greens as I go if I can see them. It's hard to see the colors in this.
Sarah, we just have a few minutes.
Okay, here I go. I'm going to go for it. I'm starting with the subject because I want to get some of it in here. And what I'm doing here is actually thinking about the direction of those flowers and And you know how to use the directional strokes. I feel like I'm kind of spastic right now or something, I don't know. But I'm just gonna put in a few of those, and I'm gonna choose a green that's gonna be the leaf shapes. And they're gonna be down here filling up this space, but not all together. I can't put in too much, because if I do, then I won't have any place to go right now. And I'm just giving myself a hint of where we're going with this. I have a note up here that this is going to be green. I tried to cheat a little bit so that you would have an idea of what I'm going to do. But in this instance, if it's green bushes, they're going to have a rounded feel to them. And I'm just kind of trying not to make it too regular and trying to make it pretty bush-like, if you will. And I'm going to move that color all the way around into the rest of the painting, because if I don't, then your eye's going to stop wherever there's a color that's too, I just kind of randomly picked that, okay? So, and then I'm going to fill this shape right here with some turquoise. I feel kind of like I'm making nervous marks right now, and I'm not wanting, and I'm still fighting some of these colors. Do you ever have to fight your pastels because they don't want to do what you had in mind? Yeah, and so some of these are not behaving, and I looked at some of my other paintings and went, how did I do that? What did I do that was different in that? And I learned, I think I learned something about how I paint every time I paint. And I'm always like, well, who painted that? How did I do that? Did I just kill one? I hope not. I dropped a whole box about 2 weeks ago on the floor. I was so mad. I'm just making some color choices right now to try to find out where we're going, because I did not do this painting. There's only one decision that I've made about the color choices that are happening in this, and I carried that line across because I want it to move, and I'm going to want some of that coming down through here. And I'm just putting in some kind of, they look random right now, but what they are is accent notes right now, so that I will remember to put them in, and I may or may not leave them. The other thing I would probably do is put some of this red that's going to be in these flowers down into the stems. And this one is, oh wow, that one's really bright. And I'm trying not to use all the same strokes or all the same color, because I want a variety, and I do have to watch the center line. Do you see where I am right now? Holy cow, if I don't do something about that, it is going to bite me. So that one either has to go up or it has to go down. It's not at the center yet. I'm safe, okay? I'm almost there, but I haven't hit it yet. So now I have to make sure that this one comes down below it. This one may or may not come in. I don't know what I'm going to do there yet. But the next thing I would do, I've already decided that I'm going to use this. And see the labels that are still on there? Mm-hmm. Because I'm an idiot and I won't take them off until I have to. I seldom will break them on purpose, and I don't often use the side of them. I know that's wrong. Oh, shoot. I know, and I have, and I do. I'm not saying I don't, but I don't go like, oh, I need to break these up. And I have plenty that are broken up, so don't worry, they get broken. But this is going to be my sky. I chose this color because it's a cool that's going to contrast, and it's actually the closest color to the complement of this red-orange that I'm using. So this is the contrast, and I learned to use a lighter sky. I like dark skies, but they don't always work. I used to use Spectrum Blue. Do you all know the Art Spectrum colors? They're great colors, but they're so hard. But I love them anyway. But anyway, this is partially going to be in. I'm just going to do some of the sky for you. And I always wipe my pastels when I start contacting other colors. I use the rag in my hand all the time, and I don't even think about how I'm wiping. But do you see I'm leaving a line around this flower? Can you see that right there? Okay, and what I do, I use my handy dandy gloves, hoping that they're clean so they don't, because on this color it will be red if it's got red on it. So this does, I flatten my color. This is the only place I'm going to do that, is in this area right here. The reason is because this is what I'm about, this texture, this color, and the excitement that goes on there. Let's go ahead and resolve this one area. I dropped that one, I can tell, because looks like it's gonna break up. But I'm gonna use another color that's a little more to the yellow value. Oh shoot, it's really crumbling. Let's use that one. So this is gonna be, I already have purple down here, so I have 3 colors on here. I figured out I only use 2 most of the time because I don't need the 3rd one because it's already there. But here's how it works out. If I fill this space with these 2 colors plus the violet, and then it's going to look like a bush, or flowers. It could be flowers if it's not a bush, but it's something in a flower garden. So that's how that would work. I do put in accent colors, and I will save these to be last sometimes. But a lot of times I want to finish at least part of my main subject so that I know where it's going to go. And because I have to paint around it with the sky. And I'm giving this a whole bunch of variety. These flowers are schizophrenic. They don't know if they're red or orange. But we're going to go with it. And so that's what that's about. And then that color's got to go somewhere else. I can't just do that up here. Okay, is it the end? Okay.
If people need to leave, if you could do so quietly, and maybe Sarah can continue working a little bit, but so that we can see this progress, because I mean it's going to be beautiful, and I hate to rush like this, but I know there are people who have commitments and would need to, and plus, clearing refreshments and things. So whatever people need to do, and those of us who can stay will enjoy it.
They're not going to kick us out?
Well, they might. If they come kick us out, I will go kicking and screaming.
Thanks a lot. Enjoy. Okay, if you're still with me, I'm going to go ahead and put in some of this down here. This is going to be grass down here, or some grassy kind of looking thing. Again, I don't get too wound up if I don't know what the thing is. It doesn't matter because it's all shapes and color. That's all we're looking at. shapes and color and contrast. And a lot of you get it, the contrast with value. In this instance, this is where laying your pastel on its side is useful, and I actually have that color somewhere, but I can't see it in this light. I have a smaller piece of it. But you can see that if you lay it down, you're going to get a wider stroke. And I value that because I like a different variety of things. So I try not to make all the marks the same, but I also know that if I don't just get bold and I push pretty hard, and sometimes it will explode. Do you just love that? That one that I was using a while ago was really on the way out because it wanted to explode. And what I'm going to try to do here is fill that with a contrast so that this looks like grass, but it's not going to be grass. And I'm trying to get a variety of shapes and marks, and I'm having a hard time getting an angle on this. Is this always a problem when you're doing a demo and holding the mic? Yes, it is. Okay, so,
You don't need to hold the mic because we can hear you.
oh, you can? Oh, okay. You can hear me? I'm gonna go with it then. Okay, so as it is, this is a color that is strong enough that I need for it to be somewhere else too, okay? So I'm putting that up there, and I have a note to myself that this area right here is gonna be like, oh man, that is not the color I thought it was. I cannot see these colors right now. Ah, there it is. Okay. That one that I used a second ago is a grayer green, and it's not going to do what I want right now. So, and what I'm doing again is instead of doing circular or rounded shapes, I'm doing more linear directional shapes, and I'm making this mountain thing back here be like sticking out, and it's working its way down. I'm going to fill in a little bit on there, but it's not going to be much. It's going to be pretty simple because it seems to work just fine, just like that. And then we can put in another value or color that contrasts with that. Let's try this turquoise because I've got that turquoise in a couple of places. And I'm kind of enchanted with this combination, but it's better even then if you can use a yellow-green, one that's a warmer color. But it can look pretty different and interesting. Let's just see what happens. I don't know. Some days I don't think I know what I'm doing. I'm just going to fake it in there right now. Okay, so these are yellow flowers down through here, and I'm just going to throw them in there. What color did I pick? Yeah, that one. Okay, so I've given myself a few shapes because I wanted to remember that I was going to do that, but I also know that, and you notice I have to hold my board because otherwise my balance is off, and you don't want to be off balance, you know. I don't know. I'm a little ditzy anyway, but I don't want to spell out all these flowers. Some of them are going to be more flower shapes, but the rest of them are not. And there's going to be a couple of them that are sticking out into the space that's around this, and I tried really hard not to make this line too straight. And I don't think I succeeded yet, but that's why God invented more stuff. But I'm also going to show you a trick that you might not be aware of for the baby wipes. Other than the fact that baby wipes are great for your hands, they are also really good tools. I learned this from a fellow pastelist. to take color out of something. So that if you, on this board, okay, because this board is completely washable. The one board that I passed around, could you tell there had been an image painted on it? There was a little one going around. And that one I sent around just so you see, you can wash it off and make it into, you know, use it for a different thing. But all I do is take a baby wipe, and they're pretty soggy. And if I decide, say for example, I don't like that color right there, I can wipe that out with this baby wipe down to the purple, and that's important to me. I don't want it to be light or have color on it because it changes the contrast. It changes the vibrancy for me. And so if I want it to vibrate and to have that nice depth that I get with that dark color, then I have to clean it off and make sure that it's clean. Can you see that it's almost completely purple again right there? Okay, and I have to, of course, let it dry, because if you don't let it dry, you will mess up your pastel and then you'll be mad. And I just noticed that half my drawing came off too, but that's fine because this is not a masterpiece, this is a demo, and it looks totally schizophrenic right now. But at the end of the day, what I'm going to do is actually push and pull color within this area right here, where the main subject is, which is these red flowers. And I'm going to fill this space, am I covering that? With I'll probably use a third color in here as well, because I want this to really be a good finish. But I don't want this down here to be too important. This has to be a whole bunch less important, because you can only look one place at a time, and you want your eye to go wherever it is that you want to go. But on the other hand, I don't want you to stop either. I want you to stay in the painting and keep traveling, right? So that will be part of it. So if you guys need to take a stretch, go for it. Okay, so I love this pastel because it's actually working the way I want, which is to actually lay down the color without. But do you see how the edges don't collapse like they do on some of the supports we use? These edges don't by nature blend themselves like some of the edges do on some of the nicer papers. So do you see how we got flowers without doing flowers?
So you're using your purple background as your dark.
Yes, ma'am. Exactly. And it's not the only dark I will use, but it is the main dark in this painting. I have some of the really dark colors that come in unison. They have unison darks, and there's some other darks out there that are dark. And this one I could use to fill and pull if I felt like I needed that somewhere. I could put that in to add some more of a different contrast. And what that does is it actually knits your painting together. If you move that color through the painting, you're actually unifying your painting by pulling your eye to all of those bits, and at the same time you're not stopping it. I don't usually have what you call a center of interest per se, but obviously I have a center of interest. It's these flowers. But I don't want your eye to stop anywhere. I'm not telling you a story. I don't have anything to say except, wow, I love these colors. I love how this looks together, and I really like how these colors work on this board with, you know, whatever you're doing. Yeah, and I keep losing stuff. So like I could fill right here. This is the sky color, but I need that color to be someplace else because otherwise it looks a little disjointed. But right now it doesn't look like that, does it? For one thing, that's flat, and that'll be the only place that I actually blend it or flatten it. And I have to make sure that I get enough color up here that it's gonna be totally flat when I get done. Because otherwise it looks like I didn't finish it. And I want it to look finished. But that'll be solid looking, okay? If you get enough color up there. But if I put that there, then it's gotta be somewhere else too. So where does it need to be? I need a yellow-green down in here. I think I'm gonna use this color that I used up there and see what happens. I'm not sure I'm gonna love that, but we'll see. It's a little more strident than I thought. It reads too much. This is really yellow-green. That's reading too much to me right now, like that yellow. And I'm not crazy about how that's working, so if I can find a color that won't do that, I will do that one. This one is kind of a grayish, more browny, greenish, yellow-ish. And you'll notice I have 0 and no brown. I will leave the black line showing sometimes, not all of it, just some of it. But I do guard the line, especially if it's the drawing part. If it's not, if it's, you notice on the flower painting that I sent around, that you can see the line that I used. And I think it's a really important thing to do. This one needs to move again throughout this painting, but maybe not too much. I'm just gonna fill in some of the spaces here that I'm seeing, and I've got to get down in dirty right now on those flowers before I go too much further, because otherwise they're not gonna be clean spaces. The other thing I forgot to do, and I hate doing it early, but I have to, is sign my painting. Because if I don't, then it might or might not fit, and it might or might not work. Since I'm using this red up in here, I'm going to use the same red to sign it. And I'm going to sign it on the vertical line instead of the horizontal line, because it entertains me. And it's a very organic signature. Even now it's not, it's trying to pick up the green. But that becomes part of the painting. It's not separate from my painting. And my mentor was really pissy about that. He actually got really upset with people. But at the end of the day, it should be an element of design, because otherwise it becomes the focal point in your painting. Because if it's the only printed thing or only different thing in your painting, that's where the eye's going to go, and it'll stop there. And if that's not what you planned, you might want to rethink that. So anyway, and my signature, okay.
My battery's going to
Okay, my signature is a squigglature. It's not really a signature, because I have kind of a mark, okay? So if you guys want to talk or anything, I'd be happy to do that. I'm going to start packing up. Thank you
Thank you.
very much.